Zoom out. Could Ethereum go to 6K? Could silver go to $85? Yes, it can. Welcome to the market update. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And for God's sake, hit the like button early and often. Okay, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to do news, and then we're going to show you charts, monthly and yearly charts. It occurred to me today that I'm like most people, and I'm like, okay, it should go down in June so I can buy it in July, and then it'll be a rally. And I'm like looking at crypto through like I'm trying to look through a keyhole. No. Let's zoom out, right? Let's talk about what message the stock market is sending us, right? And all like the laughable, silly stuff that they're doing. And then let's think about what kind of stuff we can do, right? What happens when crypto takes its power back? What's the long-term, like November and maybe even next year phenomenon for crypto, silver, etc.? Like, what's the big picture? I think I forgot about the big picture. I mean, I know that I want to be long AF coming out of this year, right? I want to grab it in September and grab it in November. Okay. But I don't forecast or talk about, what may be out there in the universe or what may be out there this year. Because there's something else that's occurred to me. There are Gann cycles related to Jupiter and Pluto regarding monetary revolutions, big changes in finances, which I'm assuming means big problems in legacy. And I think that's eventually going to happen. But you could also have different things like bubbles, right? You had bubbles in 1999. You had a Bitcoin bubble in 2011. So are there any other kind of bubbles that could happen this year before the legacy reckoning? Could it be XRP? I could make this is the best argument I've ever had for an XRP moonshot. Like that matches up with, the XRP Army's thoughts of, XRP being a dominant coin. If that's going to happen, it's going to start now with XRP outperforming Bitcoin. You're not going to want to miss that chart. Let's welcome who's here. Bull Runner, Alexandra, welcome. Jeff, hello. Okay, we have Telmo, we have John, welcome. Central Illinois in the house. Wrong again, right on time. Steve J, welcome. Michael, okay. Michael's digging the goatee. Let's rock it. Okay, I'm going to news right now. Here we go. North Korea wins a leading role at the World Health Organization. You know what? When I saw this, I'm like, you know what? It's time to talk about the long-term bullishness and reasons for crypto. Like sell in May, go away, take a little profits. Who cares? Who cares? This is what governments do. I mean, do I even have to say it? Okay, resilient U.S. junk bonds baffle market investors. Scarce supply creates demand for junk bonds. Okay, I mean, legacy is like a pressure cooker, right? And the whole thing is just cooking and cooking and cooking. And then eventually the pressure is going to get too high. So what are people going to do? Well, in 2008, things blew up on the downside. Now I'm starting to wonder if 2023, if things blow up on the upside, right? In other words, in 2008, everything went down. And maybe the thing you should be looking for in 2023 isn't the stuff that goes down. Maybe it's getting away from the stuff that's not going to go anywhere and moving towards what can go to the moon. So maybe it's silver, XRP, and Ethereum to the moon. if junk bonds won't go down, if real estate won't go down, if the Fed's going to stop tightening, if they love stocks so much they can't control themselves, well, okay. You want to blow bubbles? Let's blow a bubble today. Don't go anywhere. Hit the like button. Okay, I like this. All right. The United States can blow itself up. You know, we have social division. We are going to do the stock of a major retailer and a major beer company later in the stream. Social disorder is being traded. It is being traded, right? In other words, the stock of the retail company with the red circles and, you know, the beer with the blue label, the price action in those stocks has brought the social division in America to capital markets, and it's going to drive the dollar lower. So when I saw the dollar lower today, I'm like, I wonder if it's time to look at the big picture. I think it is. It's time to look at the big picture. Jamie's crying again. U.S.-China tensions have upended the global order. JP Morgan chair says international situation has made it more complex for business than in the Cold War era. Yeah, no shit. Because we're going to have not only nukes, but we're probably going to have AI and robots involved eventually. So here's the deal. Americans and American governments and people who vote have a real serious choice. The United States can embark on an us versus them mentality for China, as in like one of us dominates the world, or we could be two big powers that trade with each other. Right now, it looks like a collision course, and I'm sure that's what is making Jamie nervous. However, Henry Kissinger, who is a famous diplomat, said that that's totally unnecessary, that this is not like a World War II era. And instead of figuring out how we can eventually wind up on a collision course to war, we should have working groups where people can make a whole bunch of noise on the tape, but they can work together behind the scenes to ensure a debacle won't happen. Now, is anybody going to listen to Henry Kissinger, who's 100 years old? No. So what's the point? Government is evil. The answer to the University of Texas, business school final. Government is evil. Crypto is the path. Jamie Dimon, this puzzled look on his face. He goes, governments don't know what they're doing? What? Eurozone inflation falls to lowest level since Russia invaded Ukraine. Again, the problem going forward is going to be deflation. Okay. And that's going to bring the Fed on its knees. Again, I can't wait to see Jerome Powell's face or to see Twitter posts of Jerome Powell's dot plot of 5% Fed funds when deflation kicks in. Literally. China's faltering outlook for growth. So a lot of people thought there was going to be a recession in the United States. You may already have a recession in China. Now, here's something we need to think about. You know, if growth is slowing in China, their stock markets are definitely, getting hammered. We discussed that yesterday. Are these people going to have a huge appetite for crypto unless their banks are failing? They love to gamble, but are they going to love to gamble in the middle of an economic slowdown? And I guess we'll find out if it's an economic slowdown, because everybody is expecting the Chinese to show up huge and buy crypto today. I would love that. Welcome back, folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on in. Let's talk about what happens if you unleash Chinese money on, on everything. Silver, gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum. But, you got to show me the money. But today, we're going to use our imagination. We're going to assume a possible supply disruption in something like silver. And we're going to talk about how ETH could move if and when something like that happens. Inflation, Fed policy back in focus for crypto investors as Bitcoin enters summer doldrums. Bro, we've been in the doldrums for a while. And Fed policy has nothing to do with Bitcoin. What has to do with Bitcoin is the fact that the U.S. Treasury has to borrow $1 trillion. That's what's annoying for Bitcoin, right? In other words, these guys got to borrow so much money, they're sucking all the liquidity out of the system. So unless the Chinese come in and add liquidity to the crypto ecosystem, we're just going to sit here. And you know what? I'm sort of okay with that. I'd be perfectly fine if I got 24K Bitcoin. But this stream is about imagining what happens either after that happens, or if that doesn't happen, what is the overall outlook for crypto? Okay. 2 congressmen have introduced a bipartisan bill to provide regulatory clarity for digital assets. What? You mean governments actually just did something smart? Oh my God, stop it. Meanwhile, the Europeans want to treat crypto as securities by default. I'm sure that'll make regulating 6,000 cryptocurrencies easy. 1 minute, Europe is like, we're on the cutting edge. We want to have all crypto over here. And the next minute, they're doing this again. The ineptitude of governments is unbelievable. Now, let's talk about art. Okay. ERC 6551 is a game-changing NFT standard. Okay. ERC 721, okay, is one standard. And I think the point that I got from when I read this is that everybody is underestimating the art and collectibles market. And I don't think that's a good idea at all. At all. Matter of fact, one of the other lessons you can get from the social disorder in the United States that spilled over into the capital markets is that people are going to need some place to go where they feel welcome and they can have fun. And that could be the metaverse. Okay. And I got more headlines to talk about there. Okay. We have Ferocious, an upcoming collection. Now, so, this is pretty outside the box, right? And normally I wouldn't look at this, to be honest with you. But it's better than looking at people fighting with each other, or guys like the Real Fly on Twitter going, oh, it's June. It's time to celebrate the people that everyone is boycotting and protesting against. I'm like, oh my God. Somebody give me an NFT project to look at, please. Okay. Now, speaking of politics, artificial intelligence poses the risk of extinction, warns ChatGPT founder and other AI pioneers. Okay, so everybody is worried about the politics of places like, fast food restaurants that serve chicken, retailers with red circles, beer with blue labels. Everyone's all worried about that. Has anybody thought about what this guy's politics are? I mean, is that the God look he's got there? Like, my children, you will be eliminated. Really? What is this guy's politics? And sure, yeah, I've seen the science fiction movie, right? I grew up in the 80s. RoboCop, Terminator. We all know it can happen. We've seen it in the movies. The question is, what are they teaching the machines? Right? Because, this is so big. This guy practically is government. He is Big Brother. Right? I mean, you got massive amounts of power concentrated in the hands of the very few. Right? And every day, this expands itself dramatically. So, what does this have to do with crypto? It has everything to do with crypto. Because are you free now? Do you feel free? Like every time I turn on Netflix, the bad guy in the movie looks like me and is my age. And people's answer to that is to boycott certain products that are heavily laden with blue-collar people that may think like they do. You know what my answer to that is? Have fun. I'm doing crypto. I'm doing crypto. Now with this guy, either he builds Skynet and Skynet looks at fiat currencies and go, pfft. Or, this AI thing becomes, something that limits your freedom. And the only way to keep your freedom is to do something that's relatively decentralized, or at least something that's outside the legacy system. Because as you may see in an article like I have, here, Goldman and the rest of Wall Street is trying to build Skynet as fast as possible. So why the hell do you want money in the hands of people who are going to build a machine to have a God complex? I mean, how is that not the case for crypto? It is the case for crypto. Speaking of the case for crypto, I work at a place called Emerging Asset Group. Okay. And we do water. We're going to put water trading on the blockchain along with jewelry on 47th Street. And this is the second major news headline I've seen today about problems with clean water. Tokens Bark, I own it, right? All it's going to take is the first sale of water, and part of the proceeds go to start consuming the supply of the token. Not eliminating the supply, consuming it, buying the token. The Taliban and the Iranians are shooting at each other per zero hedge over water. It is happening. Job cuts from AI are just beginning, the latest Challenger report suggests. Okay, so how do you protect yourself in the event that your job is going to go away from AI? Well, I mean, you've got to be like my producer and just be religious about keeping up with all the new AI gizmos. And if you can't figure that out, I think that the best hedge is to be long crypto or any decentralized AI play you can get your hands on. If you know the AI game in the stock market, you want to jump on the Momo trend, that's fine, but that ends badly, right? Because just like the whole internet trade, once valuations become stratospheric, you have to ask yourself, do you want to own the centralized stuff or the decentralized stuff? Ooh. Billionaire warns of real estate recession as loans dry up. Ross Perot Jr., one of the biggest independent property developers in the country, warned of a real estate problem. Perot said it's getting hard for firms to get construction loans, even for industrial buildings. Look, man, this is going to blow up. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing good can happen here. The only question is, how does the trade manifest itself? Does this result in like an October crash where Warren Buffett gets to come in and buy a company like Blackstone for 20 cents on the dollar? Blackstone's a big commercial real estate player. I don't know. Okay. All I do know is crypto is a part of the answer, not part of the problem. So the bigger the problem, the bigger the answer. The bigger the move can be in crypto. I don't buy a problem in risk assets because of a legacy meltdown or a shift in the economy because of AI is somehow bad for crypto. Okay, here's Wall Street in a big hurry, okay, to turn the banking system over to Skynet. Great, right? Deutsche Bank is using artificial intelligence to scan wealthy client portfolios. Cool. AI can definitely help with portfolio investing and trading. The question is, who's running the AI, right? And what happens if AI decides, you know what? Whatever this is, whatever we own, whatever this is, we're just going to hit the sell button. What happens if every computer comes to the same conclusion at the same time? Okay. Ethereum liquid staking protocols, there's positive news on that. Okay. Avalanche hits 1 million active users. It's interesting, right? Like I've been talking about the possibility of Total 3 making new lows. Still think that's possible. But I'm starting to ask myself, particularly if Avalanche is involved in security tokens, maybe the focus is on finding support rather than finding resistance. Now, this is the most bullish thing I've seen yet. Investment bank shuts crypto unit after 1 year. This is exactly what happened in 2018. Okay. Crypto.com is becoming a licensed payment processor in Singapore. You know, the greatest thing that can happen for the United States is that it can wake up and actually be behind in crypto. People think that's bad for crypto in the United States. I actually think it's a good thing. In other words, let's all wake up and go, wow, we're behind. We do well when we're behind. Like, you know, the Russians launched Sputnik, put a man in space. Everybody in America freaked out. The next thing you know, John Kennedy is on the tape going, we're going to the moon. Americans do well from behind. They play well. 5 ChatGPT Chrome extensions. Okay. So how do you keep up with all of this? Okay. I think what you've got to do is, like, I'm just going to click on this guy's Twitter. Like, it's Psyche Wizard. Okay. 6 Chrome extensions will trade you thousands of hours. You know what I'm thinking about doing, to be honest? You know, my producer is a human newsletter when it comes to, you know, new AI stuff, getting me up to speed, at least knowing what it's capable of. I actually think you got to buy an AI newsletter. If you think you might lose your job to AI, you got to have a newsletter that shows every new thing that comes out. Satoshi Nakamoto is a Bitcoin creator, has become an AI chatbot. Oh my God. I can't wait for the William Gann chatbot, or at least the ability to query whatever is out there for William Gann. I just can't wait. And of course, if somebody can build a Bill Noble chatbot, well, that's great, as long as I got enough money to live on. Oh, BlackRock, our friends at BlackRock, issues a dire warning over debt ceiling drama. Is it bullish for Bitcoin? So, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, is he having a problem with his portfolio? You know, and if the debt ceiling drama creates a problem, who has the problem? The guy holding Bitcoin on a secure thumb drive, or BlackRock, who owns what? Every single family house in the United States, commercial real estate, equities, illiquid venture capital. It's like, you know what? I look at this. This is another thing I looked at today. It's like, you know what? I think it's time to embrace some crypto visionary, let's look out into the future type stuff. Because you know what? You know, Larry Fink, you know, you could keep the F and the K and maybe change the middle 2 letters. Every time you see these guys complaining, like Jamie earlier, you go, That's when you raise the crypto battle flag. Bitcoin fragments could become more valuable than full Bitcoins. You know what? You got to love Bitcoin adoption. You got to love this NFT thing. Yeah, it's clogging up the network, which could help XRP. I haven't forgotten about you guys. But this whole idea that Bitcoin is becoming almost like a culture phenomenon. Like ETH was the currency of culture. I don't think ETH's got the monopoly on that anymore. I mean, they're turning Bitcoin into a souvenir. Art and stocks are not correlated. People are like, oh, we can turn this into art? Okay, let's do it. Now, this goes back to the House bill from earlier. This would make it harder for the SEC to argue crypto tokens are securities. Okay, there's the crypto bill itself, the announcement. Now, here's the deal. Okay, so I brought up Ethereum 6K, brought up, you know, I'm going to talk about silver. We're going to talk XRP versus Bitcoin. You got to remember something, folks. At some point in this election cycle, particularly in the primary cycle, they're going to fight for who has the crypto vote. Like, who's going to turn out for a presidential primary? Gen Z? Whatever, right? They may turn out for the left, but who are they going to get to turn out for the right and the center? Like, who can they guarantee is going to turn out? Well, the far left and the far right, and in the center, you're going to have the crypto vote. So at some point, at some point. Like the crypto market may be dead because it's got to go down first before it can go up, or it's just got to bore everybody to death. I don't know. And you know what? I don't care. And neither should you. I mean, you don't want to get your head screwed up. You know, you don't want to do bad trades. You don't want to like waste capital. But I think like when I looked at the news this morning, I was like, wow, we got to get the vision goggles on. We got to look out there. Okay. Hong Kong crypto rules are kicking in. I think the story about China that people are not thinking about is the return of Hong Kong as a major financial center. I got to go to Hong Kong twice to do presentations. I should have figured out back then that YouTube was my thing. I would do 7 presentations a day. It was unbelievable. The city is incredible. And as a hub for finance, I mean, I know it's connected to the communists. I know the communists have control of it, but if they could ever make Hong Kong a financial center for crypto, it would have the U.S. chasing in a big way. Now, a certain blockchain project signs a multi-year deal with Red Bull Racing. This is not necessarily bullish. I remember when FTX was sponsoring Lewis Hamilton and the Benz team. You know, always gives me a little bit of pause when, you know, we're buying like Formula One racing things. I mean, yes, this is the kind of a more crypto positive stream, but damn, people, don't F yourself. Now, Nike is eventually going to bring swoosh NFTs into EA Sports. Okay. NFTs in gaming, NFTs in general, and art are coming back, right? Art is coming back. You know, in other words, if AI takes over quant, the next frontier is art. Okay. So let's see who's here. Let's see who's here. Jeff said, Bill, just tell the right people to make ETH 10,000. Steve J says, Bill, crypto is a unit of anti-debt, not issued or owed back to any central bank. Long crypto. Okay, Jeff said, we all just need the numbers to go up. Crypto Future is here from Bangalore, India. Welcome. Silas, does anyone hold Litecoin? Gonna keep it. You know what, folks? If this thing gets past June and doesn't really go down, or even if it does go down, I think we got to start asking ourselves, hey, what's the big vision here? Okay, Dulio from Madrid is checking in. Okay. Crypto Crazy says, does he remind you of Uncle Sammy? Big Rich says they are all left-wing authoritarian blanks waiting to come get you. Okay. Steve J is a big believer in inflation rather than deflation. Okay. I'm okay with inflation in the short term because that just means the Fed drives the nails into the legacy coffin harder. Okay. Wrong again thinks the Chinese are coming to crypto at the end of the year. Okay. Robin is here. Rolo, welcome. Welcome to the show. Keep crypto of Rivendell. Silver is going to 600. Wow. Okay. Let's check out where silver can go because I got Chat GPT involved for the PowerPoint. So let's just like jump straight into that. Mike Novogratz from Galaxy Digital, okay, basically a crypto Goldman Sachs, a giant investment bank for crypto, says we are in an AI bubble right now. And having watched bubbles my whole life, it's pretty exciting and it's just starting. One indication he could be selling over the top. It makes trading the stock market pretty complicated. Bubbles don't last 3 months. They last a lot longer. That part is true. That part is true. With a bubble, it's tough to know when to get off the train. I think it's time to get off the stock market train in October or maybe September, like Labor Day, right? Normally when you have an October event, it's September, Labor Day when you want to just exit. Okay. Now, as I've said, $1 in stocks is better than $1 in the bank. And if retail can chase, they'll chase. Now, the thing that's funny is it's not retail who's chasing. Retail is selling. Cathie Wood, like Madam Momo herself, who never met a stock with potential and no earnings that she didn't like, sold NVIDIA. Okay, whatever, right? In other words, bubbles take people by surprise. Quant funds and retail are selling. Now, quant funds are buying, retail is selling, and you have to wonder what happens if retail starts piling into stocks. One thing is for sure, especially in equities, it will be at the top. Like equities will go up until retail buys it, right? And that's what Novogratz is telling you politely, because again, it is a retail audience on CNBC. I don't have to be as polite. Okay, this is QQQ, the yearly chart. So this year is going to be a 9 top. You could argue that the correction was last year, maybe. Or you could argue that this is going to be a 9 top and it's going to make a new high. That, NASDAQ 100 is just going to make this glorious new high into the fall, right in time for some sort of black swan to occur, right? They're just all going to pile in, assuming AI changes everything. It does, but does it justify massive increase in stock market valuations when you have a legacy financial system that is completely broken, right? And there's a loss of confidence in things like the dollar and our debt. I mean, yes, I get it. Capital has to go somewhere. But if you have a 9 top for the year in Qs, so yeah, you can make a new high. Like Mike said, carry on, right? Mike will probably be selling it to you as it makes an all-time high if he's not selling it to you now, right? But again, sometimes having to ride out bubbles is tough. I remember in 1999, there was a strategist that worked for Merrill Lynch. My father worked there as a broker. My father was furious, right? All through the latter half of 1999, right? This strategist was telling people, don't buy it, don't buy it, don't buy it, don't buy it. Right. So back then, stock brokerage companies, it's kind of like long only, right? You didn't like sell, convince people to sell short. You were convincing retail investors to come in and buy stocks. So they'd get the research in the mail and you couldn't have a constructive conversation about the market because the market's going up and the research is telling you to sell. Okay. He got fired and NASDAQ crashed, cementing him, Charles Clow, as a legend in my mind. Okay. Now, that said, don't fight bubbles. If it's a bubble, Mike is right. Let it happen. This is QQQ yearly, right? It's going to be a 9 top. Could be a new high 9 top. Okay. Silver versus Ethereum. Silver is the candlestick chart. Ethereum is the orange line. Now, there's a whole bunch of drawing on the chart, and that's just an Elliott wave work that shows silver could go a lot higher in a methodical and then eventually very fast manner, which is very much in contrast to what's going on in Ethereum, which is like snooze fest. And, I in a way, I almost don't blame people for thinking Ethereum might like drop because Ethereum just can't rally. Now, keeping the tactical day-to-day concerns aside, like, who cares? Like, what would happen if there was a supply squeeze in silver, right? Like a commodity shortage, or everyone just decided they wanted gold all at once. In other words, if the junk bond market should break and can't, if commercial real estate should break, but it doesn't, how will the pressure in the pressure cooker manifest? Like, the pressure's got to go somewhere. So either something's got to like crack or something's got to moon. And I said, well, I wonder if silver's going to moon. I wonder if there'll be a supply disruption in silver. So this is ChatGPT output. Once upon a time in 1980, okay, somebody tried to corner the silver market, driving it to a peak of $49, an increase of 713%. Okay, it was the Hunt brothers. So I was like, if there's, now that was obviously a manufactured supply disruption. But if you've read anything about the silver market, you know that, there's a supply situation going on there. And then I read a couple really smart guys that say silver may be poised to make some kind of a move because there just isn't enough, right? So I said, all right, ChatGPT, if silver over the next 6 months moved like silver in 1980, what's silver going to do? Okay. So, I mean, this is the data on the Hunt brothers. ChatGPT says the current price is, $23 an ounce as of May 26th. And if you have a similar parabolic, okay. Oh, that's ETH. Where's silver? Okay. Here's silver. My bad. So the current price of silver is $23. Okay. And then if it goes the way it went in 1980, you have $28 in June. You have $44 in August, $55 September, $85 November, $85 silver. If there is a supply disruption, again, not investment advice, that's an if. Apply the Hunt brothers math to ETH. In other words, what happens if I'm wrong? What happens if June is actually July? What happens if Ethereum just starts taking off? Now, do I think that's the most likely scenario? No, I think it's a coin flip. But if I was wrong, in other words, this is a legitimate analyst thing. It doesn't go over very well in crypto, but it's a legitimate analyst thing. In other words, if you ask yourself, if I'm wrong about this, right, and this thing just goes up, or it sits still and then goes up, what's it look like? Well, if ETH does what silver did in 1980, because again, remember, they're burning ETH like crazy. NFTs may come back. I think we're done with meme coins, but I don't know, right? They're burning Ethereum. Ethereum's got what? A $250 billion market cap, right? What's the market cap? NVIDIA went up $250 billion in one day. In one day. So when you look at $200 billion, is that really a big number? Maybe not. In other words, in research, you get paid for imagination. Okay, so let's imagine a supply disruption in ETH and that it goes parabolic. Now, most likely it's not going to do that, but let's examine what would happen if it did. So if ETH went parabolic now, you'd have 2,300 in June, you'd be at the all-time high in September, and you'd be at 6,800 in November. Now, you can take this math of this kind of trajectory of ETH going from 2,300 to 6,000. And I don't know, maybe the rally starts, maybe the rally doesn't start until July, or maybe it doesn't start until November. What I'm trying to tell you is all you need is a supply disruption, which could take the form of a demand shock, meaning everybody comes in to buy all at once, and boom, ETH goes from, 1,900 or 1,800 to 6,800 in 6 months. So is this a price prediction of what's going to happen in June? Am I like 100% convicted that ETH is going to go to 6,000 by November? It could. Is it going to start doing it now? I don't think so. But there's a larger point here, right? If ChatGPT is telling you about what happens with a supply disruption like the Hunt brothers, and then you apply that math over to something like ETH, it gives you a powerful look at what the next rally could look like. Conveniently, ChatGPT said, oh, can't do any more of this conversation after I got it to sing on these numbers for ETH. Okay, the ETH yearly chart. Okay. Steve J says silver goes to 80, ETH goes to 12K. Okay. Silas is asking, in your experience, what is the overlap between crypto enthusiast and libertarian political tendencies? Pretty strong, man. I mean, some of the early crypto adopters were like, I don't want to play along with this. The Bitcoin white paper was written in the wake of 2008. Steve J reminding you to hit the like button. Okay. ETH yearly. So ETH's only been around since 2016, 2017. And this is the third of 9 up years for ETH, right? The third of 9 up years. I looked at this and I'm like, would you listen to me on this live stream? I'm like, well, you sell it on Memorial Day and you buy it back on July 4th. That may be true. Then I look at this and I'm like, oh, wow, really, man? Really? Okay, Bitcoin, the same thing. Bitcoin yearly chart, right? It's amazing how that candle from last year didn't turn to DeMark math, right? The third of 9 up years. Silver, okay? Silver on a yearly chart is sitting on a big DeMark moving average right over here, okay? They tried to dip silver this year and last year and the year before that and the year before that below this moving average, and they can't do it. They cannot get silver beyond this automated quant moving average. Interesting that if you paid 23 for silver, you think silver's up the last 3 days. Like, oh, I can't buy it. Well, not if you look at this chart. I mean, you could have 4 more up years in silver. 4 more up years. Okay. After, 3 years of consolidation candles. Okay. Dollar index versus ETH. Notice that the dollar is just, failing horribly today, as everybody who needed to borrow dollars before Uncle Sugar comes in and takes all the money out of the system. Everybody who was going to get dollars in the foreign exchange market, maybe they already did. Okay. Maybe they already did. And dollar is lower today. And the best case scenario for Ethereum is that you get like an ABC correction where something would happen where ETH would get flushed out so you could grab it, right? And if ETH does get flushed out, try not to get hosed and try to remember that when this thing finds a bottom, you're looking at materially higher prices on the next rally. Okay, Silas is asking, when did I buy my first Bitcoin? He almost did 10 years ago. I grabbed Bitcoin in 2017. That's when somebody called me up who I used to read my work at Goldman and said, Bill, we'd love to hear what you think of Bitcoin. And I'm like, what's that? And then I started charting it by hand and haven't looked back. Okay. Mark is here getting out of work early. Okay. Getting out of work early, checking out the market update. We appreciate that. Okay. Now, let's talk about something that people have only recently wanted to hear from me on TikTok, ironically, XRP. Okay, YouTubers want to talk XRP because everybody is into that. That kind of pisses off both people who are not into XRP and even the people who are. Because unless, like, I don't know, say BitBoy or Wendy O is talking about it, no one wants to hear it. All right, well, that's fine. But let's think about this for a moment. This is the XRP weekly chart. If the market does not crack in June, or if Bitcoin just slumps, can XRP move up? Jupiter cycle propels bubbles. Pluto cycle brings revolution. Okay. So Congress is already after the SEC. And if the SEC loses the case, XRP is loose as a fast form of money. Now, the key is, will Ripple Inc. be evil and sell over the top of retail to fund itself by selling XRP? This is like, got a friend, he doesn't like XRP, right? So the question in XRP isn't who's the buyer. The question is who's the seller. And if the answer is nobody or not Ripple, okay, then this can go up a lot if you consider this whole bubble cycle or this whole revolution in money cycle. In other words, if junk bonds can't go down, XRP could go up. I got to be the only person on the planet that would connect junk bonds to XRP. XRP versus Bitcoin on a 3-day chart. Folks, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a pretty looking diamond. It's like almost symmetrical. If you look at it on a daily chart, right, it like broke out, came back, returned, and now it's moving. So if you get XRP, it's all along this fib speed resistance line here. Like the diamond target's way up here. So this is pointing to massive XRP outperformance versus Bitcoin. So if you get that and XRP actually manages to break this line, I just think it could take off, right? And normally when you get a powerful breakout out of a diamond, you get a powerful trend. So either Bitcoin is going lower or XRP at 50 cents is a steal, not investment advice. Okay. And, you know, this is like a Bitcoin chart showing, you know, theoretically Bitcoin could slump to 24K. Now, personally, I would love that. I'd be standing down there buying everything for sure. Okay. But are you going to get there? I kind of hope so. You know, hopefully XRP versus Bitcoin doesn't resolve itself with Bitcoin going down. I would prefer to see it with XRP going up because, you know, these people with this Jupiter expansion and revolution and money theme in the Gann work. I mean, all these XRP people who think they got all these grandiose price targets. Well, people, Mike Novogratz just tell you, we got bubbles going on, right? They want to blow bubbles and crypto's not going to be involved in that. It's just going to be Pepe. Man, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, you can get the correction, right? If Uncle Sam sucks all the money out of the system, but you know, maybe we're just going to sit here and watch grass grow, right? Until some parabolic starts, because that's the key to the stream, right? The parabolic could start. Now, this is the head and shoulders top in ETH. You know what? Everyone looked at it. Everyone got all caught up in this. The downside target's 1,500 and no one's trading it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a valid formation. Sometimes markets can wear you out before they drop it. And if they drop it, you know, as they take it down, you got to say, all right, I'm getting positioned for 6,000. Now, let's talk about the dollar. Let's talk about social disorder and the dollar. You can trade politics in the legacy foreign exchange markets. It's actually one of the cool things about that market, right? It's very TA oriented, has been from the beginning. Okay. Stocks, TA was frowned upon almost, but in foreign exchange, back in the 90s, it was a part of the game for sure. Now, this is the retailer with the red circles. The stock has dropped to the 62% retracement. They filled the giant gap. This thing has just cracked. Okay. They made a huge marketing mistake. And now Group A is mad at Group B and no one shops there anymore. Okay. So, you know, they made a mistake, and the people who are going to pay for it are the hourly wage associates who are going to get their hours cut back. That's who's going to wind up paying. That's what a boycott of this place will do. Okay. So, you know, I'm not exactly on the left, but I'm wondering if this is the wrong place to trade this theme. Like, you know what should look like this? The dollar, right? I mean, the group in question that's making everybody upset, you know, the celebration of that group, yet they're having like, you know, this is our celebration month of June. Okay. This should not be the retailer. This should be the dollar. Now, the beer company monthly, big support at $53 in DeMark terms. Again, this trade has manifested. Okay. This beer with the blue label was originally brewed and is brewed at a plant in Houston, Texas that employs between 600 and 800 people that more than likely have the same political views as the people boycotting it. Can you imagine these people at this plant in Houston standing around with nothing to do because people are upset? They're like, why are they upset at me? I didn't do anything. And I think the same way they do. And It sounds very good to get in and be like, you know what? I like this or I don't like this. I'm going to vote with my feet, and that's fine. That's free markets. But what I'm saying is the giant red candle shouldn't be in the companies that are making the mistake. It should be in the currency of the country where the people can't get along. So what does this have to do with crypto? It has everything to do with crypto. One, because the store with the red circles, the only way they're going to get anybody back in that store is to start accepting crypto. Somebody mentioned Litecoin earlier. I mean, they have got to be huddled in a store to say, oh my God, how do we get people back in? I guarantee you right now, regardless of political affiliation, if they start taking Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Nano, whatever, they start taking whatever, you will have people flying into that store just to buy stuff, just to support the company. It'll go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Not to mention the fact that a divided country means the demise of the dollar, and that is the market update. Okay. It's not a celebration. It's a final farewell. Silas says the beer in question was only drinkable when really cold. Okay. DeFi perp. Let's do DeFi perp. Funny, I remember the good old days when finance was going to be decentralized. Now we have legacy turning the whole thing over to AI. They're taking out centralized human decision-making and handing it over to a computer. People are so worried about Skynet wiping us off the planet. They should really ask themselves, right, do you want a digital centralized authority running your life and your financial system when you don't know who taught the computers, right? Like once the computer starts learning, you can't do an MRI on the final computer brain, right? But you can be careful and you can think clearly, which is what Snowden said at Consensus about what you teach the machine. Now, unfortunately, here in DeFi Perp, no one is that interested. You have a big triangle, you had a breakout, and now you have another big triangle. Okay. In other words, I think part of the problem with DeFi Perp may be stuff like Chainlink, right? In other words, does anybody need these coins? We definitely need decentralized finance. And, you know, this is a great like strategic play in the event this actually happens, that these congressmen start figuring out that they can help their political standing and their party and their candidates by embracing crypto. The whole thing is about to backfire on Gensler. Now, the DeFi perp chart's not showing that right now, but, you know, it could later. I mean, nobody wants to see old-fashioned DeFi come back more than me. And I would love that. Okay, so let's take a look at RNDR. RNDR people are probably loving life. RNDR is just like bucking the trend. I think if we're going to do dystopia, the metaverse will be key. Okay. You know, if you look at RNDR monthly, 3 more up months, and May was the dip. May was the dip. 3 more up months for render. Okay. Not seeing anything for SYC and DeMark. See what I can get over here. Is SYC, is that Super Yacht? Okay, you know, again, yeah, SYC, Super Yacht Club. Okay, no catalyst at the moment. I would say everyone looks like they're giving up, and if you're doing this, it's value investing. Okay, You're doing value in that. Oh, can I look at BEN Coin? Certainly. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, philosophically, just chart wise, you have start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. There's a pretty big stop they got going on here. 78% retracement of that whole up move, the whole second up move. You know, currently it's below that. Now, this does not look like other meme coins where the stuff went straight up and straight down. So, for example, you know, if you kind of look at Pepe, right? So, you know, Pepe went way up and now it's making a base. Okay. I think BEN Coin may wind up doing the same thing. Now, here, just as a reminder, in Pepe, you know, this was actually a great example of start, stop before it just freaking, they just sent it. Now, this could be over. This could be dead money. I don't think BEN falls into that category. I don't think BEN is going to take off and go to the moon. I think it's ironically the best of all worlds for Ben Armstrong himself, right? In other words, you know, it's really got to get above 1300 for it to be like, okay, you know, this is good. But in the meantime, it may just slump here. Right? I mean, may just range, just like Pepe did. Now, again, that allows for all kinds of controversy and for everybody to get all wound up because it's down. However, when it comes to stuff like this, you kind of have to remember, right? Somehow, certain things are going to change radically. Radically, right? Junk bonds and real estate have to blow up. Okay, well, if they don't blow up, or if society doesn't tear itself apart, right? Like, you know, the media thinks the United States could melt down. Like every time I read anything with the media, I go, US will melt down, inevitable. I go, okay, US meltdown, not inevitable. New social structure has to be created. How does that get created? I don't know. These guys could do it. I mean, I'm not going to fade a guy with 1 million followers. I'm not. I've met the guy twice, right? I mean, he sold his house and sold football helmets to build a YouTube studio. What do you think? He's going to sit around and not be relevant in a bear market, particularly when somebody hands him a decent idea? He's going to fucking go for it. You know, and if this guy could pull this off, I mean, you know, Musk has 132 million Twitter followers. BitBoy, I look at BitBoy, it's like, wow, he's got 1 million. BitBoy's looking at Elon Musk and going, man, I got a long way to go. So I don't think you have to be in some huge hurry to buy this. I just think philosophically, this belongs in the same conversation as XRP. Now, if this goes down, is it going to drag the whole crypto market with it? I kind of thought so. Right. But then I talked to Toby and she's like, I don't think so. It's kind of a range trade. Right. Toby's like my secret weapon. If you haven't checked out the videos, you should. Some people love them. Some people hate them. Okay. I would encourage you to love them. Right. Because it's like a special GAN edge that cannot be replicated with Skynet. Key. Okay. Microsoft buying a cloud company. Can I take a look at Metahero? I'm interested in the metaverse. I don't really want to get caught long altcoins, you know, in June, but I'm interested in finding metaverse plays, and somebody's going to come out with metaverse AI. I don't know if Singularity Net's going to do it. They're going to do it, man. They have Singularity DAO. They're doing DeFi AI, man. They're doing it. Okay, so Hero has got support here. So the best case scenario is that this is just forms a base and then it moves higher into space later. Okay, Theta, which, you know, decentralized media. Used to think Twitter was like the new free speech zone. I haven't really said anything radical on Twitter, but as soon as this new CEO came in, my Twitter followers went in reverse. And if anybody's experiencing the same thing, please feel free to comment below. Maybe I just need to get better at Twitter. Okay. Decentralized social media. Okay. So there's nothing going on the Theta daily chart. Nothing. Okay. On the monthly chart, nothing is happening. Let's try the 4-hour chart. So on the 4-hour chart, it's a range between 84 cents and 87. How exciting. They run through the top, they run the shorts, they run through the bottom, they blow out the longs, and then they come back. I mean, it's either going to slump lower with other altcoins, because you got to remember, every altcoin's not going to make it, and Uncle Sam is sucking the liquidity out. I think the key with stuff that you believe in is to somehow figure out how not to get killed, which means you may have to hold this and then maybe try to get long something that if it is a bubble, or if there is, instead of a legacy nuke, it's a bubble somewhere else, either in AI or crypto. You know, I thought of that. It's like, hey, do I really have to be this negative all the time? I mean, yeah, it's got to blow up, but, you know, could something else rally while that all blows up? Or could something else rally if that other stuff can't blow up? It's going to get resolved. There's going to be a revolution in money and politics. Could it happen in crypto? I certainly hope so. I work for Emerging Asset Group, where we're into gold, water, diamonds, jewelry, the New York Diamond District on chain, tokenizing gold and gold mines. So, you know, if there's a revolution and crypto is at the forefront, you know, I can get a better backdrop. Okay. So that's GLDN and BARK, 2 tokens I own. You know, the thing about BEN token that does drive me a little nuts is, like, you know, the market cap on that thing relative to other market cap coins. You know, like, what's real? I'm not saying that's not real. I'm saying at some point, people are going to want to invest in stuff with common sense. Okay. So Theta is in a range, ROSE. Okay. Let me check this right here. Okay. So it's got to get above resistance at 54 cents or 0.054, right? In other words, I think it's some of these small altcoins. The key is, are people willing to pay higher prices, right? This is the lesson, right? You got to have a supply disruption. Right now, the supply disruption is on the supply of money. Money supply has shrunk for the first time in U.S. history. The government is sucking all the money out of the market in June. Now, when they get done with that, if liquidity becomes available because the Fed either has to stop tightening or print, or there's just an organic movement of capital out of BlackRock and into crypto. It shouldn't be, you know, long Bitcoin, short the banks. It should be long Bitcoin, long Ethereum, long silver, short BlackRock and Blackstone. Because remember, the reason Cathie Wood is buying Coinbase is that she knows the only way those firms hedge or survive, whatever is going to happen, is to buy Coinbase. Like Coinbase, they're going to be like, you're not going to believe how the whole universe is going to change. Politicians are going to be racing each other to be pro crypto. racing each other. Companies will be bidding for Bitcoin miners and crypto companies to try to get them on their balance sheet. How much you want to bet Goldman calls Novogratz and said, Mike, how much for the whole company? At which point Mike says, I'm not selling. That's the market update for today, folks. We will see you tomorrow.